Sugar Shack is up and running.
Sugar Shack.
The Sugar Shack.
Need a professional logo for your brand? I've used the new Wix logo maker to create one for my startup. I'll show you how.
I always thought there were two types of motor car. There was the sports car.
Test, test, test. Hey, everybody on YouTube and on Instagram Live. The topic of tonight's clinic is on business golf etiquette. Why is business golf etiquette even being talked about? Hey, Mr. Teed. Welcome to the live stream. Tonight we're talking about business golf etiquette. If you would like to call in and discuss business golf etiquette, you're more than welcome to call the Grown phone. That's going to be 925-726-3224. That's 925 Sandbag is the Grown phone. You can call in with your little tipperooskies for proper business golf etiquette. Switching over to a different Google Voice account, so I have that open. Or you can just call and say what's going on, but that's the phone number, 925-726-3224, also known as 925 Sandbag. When you're right, you're right. Phone lines are open. And it's showing me in a tiny little thing up in the corner, no big deal. On YouTube, it's more important to see the slideshow anyway. But let's get into this thing. Business golf etiquette. Is that backwards? Yeah, I'll switch it like this. Yes, hello.
Order for a large cheese.
Yeah, large chi. What, traditional or deep dish?
Can I get authentic Domino's?
Authentico Dominano.
Yeah, I like the cardboard cross sleeve.
You're so silly, Mr. Teed. What are you doing, man? Welcome to the Grown Man Radio Golf Etiquette Show.
Thanks, buddy. I just finished half a day of golf etiquette and had a quesadilla for dinner.
Oh, what kind of fillings did you put in your dilla?
I put queso and some pollo.
Oh, wow. Chicken and cheese.
Good interpretation.
Yeah, might be good.
What tipperooskies have you got out there for someone who is like maybe played 1 or 2 rounds of golf and then they get a big invite by their boss to go out and play a round of golf and they might be a little nervous?
What was the lead into that question again?
What would be some advice you would give to someone in that situation?
Got invited by their boss to play some golf.
Yeah, and they're a little nervous. They've never really played a full round of golf before. They don't want to look stupid out on the golf course.
I think understanding what the dynamic of the round is. You know, are you playing a full 18-hole round and you're playing your own ball, or even more, you're playing like a money match with his buddies? Or is it something where it's an outing, you're playing a scramble, and it's a lot more focus on leisure than it is on playing and trying to make your boss look good?
Yes. I would lump that into general awareness. I would say awareness is the name of the game when you're out on the golf course.
Yeah, so I think that would be the basis of asking, you know, those are the certain parameters I look at on the scale is, you know, is this a hit and giggle scramble where you're drinking, or is this, you know, money match with his buddies or her buddies?
Way to go. Way to keep it all inclusive. 2020.
Yeah, I didn't get the alphabet in there, but at least I covered two of the letters.
Yeah, way to go. I'm very proud of you. Very progressive. And for those of you who don't know, we're talking to Mark Teed. He's a PGA professional down at Sea Pines Country Club in South Carolina.
Just missed out on our full Heritage Week too. So I got rescheduled Father's Day weekend in June.
Okay, is that one of the first ones back then?
It is the second one. That's of the, I think, 4 or 5 non-spectator events.
Okay, man, oh man, how do you do that? How do you totally reschedule an entire PGA Tour event?
I think it makes it a lot easier when they're doing no spectators, because you don't have to worry about setting up the grandstands. So it's basically just TV towers and, you know, anything that CBS is looking to set up.
That's going to be bizarre.
You know, otherwise it's going to be quirky. I can't wait to see, you know, guys tapping in a 3-footer, waving to the crowd for par, and there's no one there, just out of pure tendency and habit.
Yeah, it's going to be like a casual round of golf. People will make like a big bomb for eagle. It'll go in and nobody cares.
Yeah, for some reason, without a crowd roar, Tiger's fist pumps wouldn't be so exciting.
He should do it still, though. I played with a couple of guys that did some
That'd be
pretty
very
serious fist pumps on mini tour stuff, and it was always a little awkward.
Yeah, it's like cool. It's 6 of us counting our 3 caddies.
Well, Mark, maybe you can stay on the line with me here and fill in if I forget anything. I have a little PowerPoint presentation you can see here on your video screen. Oh, although it probably won't update automatically because it's a little bit of a delay, but it should be good enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is my clinic on business golf etiquette. And if you get invited to play golf with some guy like this from work, it's a good opportunity to, you know, maybe advance in the company, but it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, you know. You might be a little bit nervous because you haven't been out on a golf course and played a full 18-hole round of golf before. So the point of tonight's clinic is to throw a couple of tipperooskies your way, some things that I've learned over the years about the nature of business golf. And we've also got a real live PGA professional and Mark Teed accompanying us here. Mark, if you would just mute your telly until you have some sort of commentary you would like to add. Otherwise, it sounds like it's going to cut in and out pretty wildly. Whoopsie doopsies. And I believe my Zoom has died. Join a meeting on the Zoomsters. Do you have Zoom, Mark?
I'm just getting into the Zoom world, but you got me on a mute. So,
well, why don't you join our
I'm
Zoom?
looking forward to enjoying the presentation.
Can you join our Zoom if I give you the number?
There's going to be a lot of zooming.
Zoom, zoom, zoom. Would you like to say hey? Oh. All right, I'm reloading this thing, join with computer audio, but I want to be muted at the same time. And I'm going to share my screen. There it is. We're going to hide the video. And we're going to minimize that. And then we're going to put it like that. Okay, and we're back. Mark, are you still there?
Yeah, still hanging out. I don't think I got the Zoom going now.
Okay, well, if you stay on there on mute, that would be great. Okay,
Yeah,
ladies.
I got you covered.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a presentation on business golf etiquette. My name's Clay Winnell. I'm a PGA professional in the North Texas section. I have played golf, mini tour golf professionally for a few years. I've played at a high level. I've played business golf. I've played just for fun. And the purpose of tonight's clinic is to talk about some tipperooskies that might help you be a little bit more comfortable on the golf course if you do get that big invite and go out and play with maybe your boss or someone that can help you out in your career. So your boss invited you to play some golf. Now what is what I ask you? Okay, well, first of all, what is golf etiquette? Etiquette is the customary code of polite behavior in society or among members of a particular profession or group. Let's be honest, Golfers are kind of snobby, but it doesn't have to be that way. Just because you have good etiquette doesn't mean you're a snob. Who cares about good etiquette? Well, keep in mind, the purpose of business golf is mostly an opportunity to get to know somebody better. That's sort of the point of being out there. It's a judge of how they can trust you. Are you someone that's trustworthy? Are they going to want to do business with you? And someone who has a general sense of etiquette will be perceived as someone who cares. And I don't know about you, Mark, but when I was working in the pro shop in a more traditional pro setting, one of the biggest things that we looked for when hiring new people was, does this person care? And that was always what you're trying to get to the bottom of, because you can't really teach people to care. I don't know if that's something that you guys have a strategy for finding when you're hiring new folks to work at Sea Pines.
Yeah, you're basically just looking for someone that, kind of picturing yourself on a baseball team. Is this someone that's going to be a teammate, someone on your side, someone you want to work with every day? But it's definitely, you can always train people, but you can't teach character.
Yeah, no doubt. So very much golf etiquette does not equal stuffiness. It's important to keep in mind that it is a leisure activity, but business golf is different than regular golf, because business golf, like it or not, is sort of like a test within that leisure activity. Would you agree with that, Mark, that subtly business golf there's a little bit of a test behind it? You're trying to see what this person's all about.
Yeah, I'd say there's definitely some character revealing, especially when you get someone that's more comfortable with the game. There's certainly a few people I've talked to over the years that have said it's kind of a judgment based on character. Seeing if someone's more of a risk taker, they're more conservative. That's kind of a little bit more of a stretch with a few of those guys actually kind of seeing that more of the philosophical side of playing. But definitely there's an essence of seeing how someone carries himself playing.
Yeah, and the purpose of me saying that is just to keep it in the back of your mind, like Mark was talking about earlier. What is the nature of the round of golf that you're playing? What's the point of being out there? And an overarching point in all of this, you're not being invited to go out and play golf just for fun. If it's business golf, ultimately there's some sort of reason you're being asked out there, and why not at least act with some etiquette, just not to step on any landmines and to show that you're a good dude. So what kind of things are you being tested on, you might ask? Well, are you a cheater? Cheating in golf can carry over to cheating in business. Do you cut corners? Do you have a temper? Do you throw clubs? Do you make big divots on the greens when you miss a putt? Are you super arrogant? Do you talk a big game and then you shoot a million? Are you a big booze hound? Are you out there slamming as many beers as you can instead of, having a little casual one or two? Are you a gambler? Do you obviously have like a need for some action? That might not be the best look. Are you generally like aware, like Mark was talking about earlier? You got to have some general awareness of what's going on around you, just because it shows that you're a perceptive person and that you care and you're conscientious. That's another big trait that businesses are looking for, and whether or not to trust somebody. And last but not least, you're being tested on if you're down with OPEG. JK. Some things to keep in mind, some big picture things. Most people are terrible at golf, so don't be embarrassed if you suck too. It's more about the journey than the destination, man. Keep in mind, time is our most valuable resource. Therefore, play efficiently. And also keep in mind that playing fast does not equal playing efficiently. Some characteristics of playing fast. Your general mindset is like, I'm going to hurry up and get this over with. I've seen that a lot. People want to play fast to like be deferential to the boss. They don't want to hold up the boss, but what you don't want to look frantic out there. Instead of the idea of hurry up and get it over with, what you can think about is be ready to go when it's your turn. And there are some steps that I'll talk about here a little later of how to be ready to go when it's your turn. If you're playing fast, you're going to end up messing up easy shots due to lack of focus, which ultimately might take a little bit longer than if you just took a few extra seconds and did what you needed to do to knock in a 3-foot putt or to not chili dip a chip because you're trying to rush. So instead of that, just enjoy the process of playing each shot. And again, you don't have to play like you're chicken with your head cut off, but you need to have a little bit of a fire under your butt to, be respectful of your playing partner's time. If you're playing fast, you're going to miss a divot or a ball mark or two out on the golf course. And that's not cool. Your job is to be out there and take care of the course. Try to leave it better than you found it. And last but not least, if you're playing under 3 hours, there's a good chance that you're probably playing fast. That's not a be all and end all, but to me, a good efficient round of golf is going to take somewhere between 3 and 3.5 hours. I think 4 hours is at most. Mark, do you agree with me on pretty standard pace of play should be 3.5 hours, or is that booking it?
Are we talking foursome?
Yeah, foursome. Should they be able to get around in 3 hours if everybody's paying attention?
Yeah, I think efficient. Yeah, I think that's a strong pace of play. 3.5, I think, is pretty good for a 4-ball. Paying attention and kind of taking care of details.
What's the average pace of play at Sea Pines?
We've actually been. I would say we're about 4 hours and 20 minutes. A few years ago, we picked up a GPS system on our carts and we dropped it to about 4:05.
Okay.
With that, and then since the whole Corona thing going on, we've been at like 3:50, 3:55. So I'm not quite sure what's behind that pickup in pace of play because we've been busier with a lot more golfers. But
do you guys have the flag sticks raised out of the ground?
No, we have basically cut pool noodles inserts in the bottom, so the ball's sitting up when it is holed. But I think part of not having to rake bunkers definitely helps out.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder what other little things are speeding things up. Maybe we as golf pros can learn things about how to speed it up based on lessons learned during lockdown. But long story short, your goal out there when you're invited to play golf is to play efficiently. And the worst thing in the world is playing slowly, holding up everybody. Nobody wants to hold up the group. So some ways to avoid playing slowly. First of all, if you're learning anything new from this slideshow, do not worry about your score. Just be aware and hit when it's your turn. Business golf, again, is more about you and not your score. So don't get lost in the idea of, I got to shoot a certain score. I got to keep an exquisite track of what I'm shooting. And you're standing there on the green, going back through your head. Was that a 7 or an 8? You can keep score, but keep score on the next tee box. Don't do it on the green. Some other ways to avoid playing slowly is never hit more than 2 tee shots. Pro tip, someone who's seen this a million times in playing and caddying, if your second tee shot is likely unfindable, everyone in the group is silently begging you to just quit the hole. They're probably not going to say anything, but you're going to get a lot more respect from those folks by forfeiting the hole rather than grinding it out for your quadruple bogey. Would you agree with that, Mark? Would you, if you've got somebody who just pumped 2 balls OB, would you respect them as a PGA pro saying, "Oh, I'm going to sit this one out and have a little sipperooski on my White Claw"?
Yeah, and the White Claw deal, absolutely. Obviously, tournament golf can't do that, but yeah, if you're just having your casual round or even a money match, yeah, there's definitely a silent protest. You tee up that 3rd golf ball.
Yeah, they're not going to say anything because most people are going to be nice. You're going to have the occasional person that's going to take charge and tell you just to pick up, but just don't make them do that. They're going to respect you a lot more if you just pick it up and you say, "Okay, this isn't my hole," or you can drop one down from 100 yards and hit an approach shot and putt it out. but don't sit there on the tee box, hit 3 or 4 tee shots, especially if you're like topping them or you're super nervous. Just pick it up and drop where your playing partners hit, somewhere around there. Most people have no problem with that. If they're 150 yards out from the green, you just ride up there with them, throw the ball down and play next to them. Again, it's more about being together and showing that you're a team player than grinding it out for quadruple bogey. What's up, Gregory Pex? Welcome to the live stream. If you'd like to hear the audio with our guest, Mark Teed, you can find us on 1L Studios on YouTube. And you can also watch the video there. Another way to keep going and keep playing fast is like an auto gimme within a 3-foot radius of the cup. As long as it's not a money game, if you're just going out there for fun, nobody's going to look at you sideways if you rake your 3-footer. And if they do, that means they're a super golf purist and they're going to say something about it. And if they say something once, you just say, oh, my bad, I didn't think we were keeping score today. But in general, people will be more than fine to give you a 3-footer or less. They don't want to see you grind it out. And one of the dorkiest things you can do as a new golfer, Mark, I'm sure you've seen this before, is like somebody will hit it up real close to the hole and they're new to the game and nervous, and a dead giveaway that you're a total beginner is to put down your ball marker within like a foot of the cup, and then you stand away and wait for your turn.
Yeah, that's only appropriate for tournament golf.
Yeah, it's just, I always feel bad when people, I know it's just because people haven't played a lot of golf before, but that's the purpose of clinics like this. Hopefully I can save you the embarrassment of someone being like, why is he putting down his ball marker when he's just a foot away from the hole? Just tap it in, bro. Especially now that you can leave the flag stick in. There's no reason not to just go up and tap it in. Another way to avoid playing slowly is to bring your putter. Anytime you're leaving the golf cart with wedges in your hand, that usually means that you got a bunker shot or a little chip or a pitch shot around the green. If you're a beginning golfer, you might forget to grab your putter along with your wedges. And this just keeps you from having to take an extra trip back to the golf cart, which could slow things down. So anytime you've got wedges, go ahead and take the putter too. Another way to keep it moving is to get your yardage while other golfers are playing. This drives me crazy. A lot of times people will have this tendency to kind of huddle up in a group and everybody has their hands on their hips watching the boss hit a shot, and you got to give them the obligatory, wow, that's amazing, great shot. And then they migrate over to coworker number 1's ball and watch him hit, and then they migrate over to coworker 2's golf ball and watch him hit. And that is just a recipe for super slow play. So it's totally fine within the rules of golf. You can still be a little bit brown nosy, but do it efficiently. Go and get your information while the boss man's hitting. He stripes one down there, $180. With this 3 hybrid, you can ooh and ah, but you got to be able to pull the trigger when it's your turn. And if you're standing there in a group watching one person hit, that's just not the way that you play golf. So be ready to hit when it's your turn to go. Also goes into the same category, read your putt while others are putting. You've got all the time in the world to read your putt, and it's not distracting to other players if you do it right. Just stay out of their line of sight, and you can read your putt while others are putting, and that'll speed it up tremendously. I was victim of this. I actually got called out on that in a PGA Winter Series event down in Florida. I guess I didn't realize how out of position I was a lot of times. And I had a rules official come up and kind of scold me on it. So it's not just beginner golfers that can be better about being more efficient while, reading putts while your playing partners are going. Another way to speed things up, there's different areas of penalty out on the golf course. Some courses have a white line or a white stake that's going to be out of bounds. And technically in the rules of golf, you're supposed to hit another ball from where you hit the previous ball out of bounds, but that takes quite a long time. So anytime you're playing somewhat casual business golf, it's okay just to play everything as a lateral. Just be honest about it, and declare why you're playing it as a lateral drop. Meaning, say you blasted it, here's the OB line, your ball from the tee box down here comes up and runs out of bounds right here. See this X marks the spot? Just go ahead and drop where the X marks the spot. Don't go back down here and hit another one because you'll be there all day. And no, it's not technically in the rules. You shouldn't play everything as a lateral hazard, or they're calling it a penalty area now. But your playing partners will understand, and if they're golf savvy, they'd be like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. As long as you're not playing a money game, and as long as you're not being sneaky about it, just be honest. Another way to play fast is to not look too hard for golf balls. Just be aware of your playing partner's time you may be wasting by looking for a golf ball. I know they can be expensive, but think of it as an investment in your relationship with this person, and spending 5 minutes looking for a golf ball, it's just not very respectful of your boss's time. And it's kind of annoying. People are going to help you look for a minute or two, but if it's a 5-minute ball search on every hole, it's you're not doing yourself any favors. Another way to speed things up, take multiple clubs with you when you leave the cart. You're going to get kind of a knack of learning yardages, and you're going to figure out, okay, I'm probably around 150 yards. And a mistake that a lot of beginning golfers will do is they'll take a 7-iron over there for a 150-yard shot, and it's a 30-yard walk from the cart to their ball. And they get over there and they realize it's a little more uphill than they thought, and there's a little bit more wind in their face than they thought. So all of a sudden, the 7-iron in your hand, doesn't seem like enough club. Now, in this situation, since you've walked 30 yards to get your, over to your ball, I would recommend, as a PGA professional, if you've got the wrong club in this situation, it's your fault for not taking another one with you. Don't waste everybody's time. Make that 7-iron work like a man. Do you agree with that, Mark, or would you tell people to go back to the cart?
That's the essence of taking a cart versus having your bag right next to you.
Yeah, you got to pay the stupid tax sometimes if you don't take proper equipment from your golf cart to your golf ball. Another way to avoid playing. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you may be going on it, but a couple spots you're touching upon I would say double etiquette is you see your playing partner hitting a shot out of the fairway, takes the divot, being prepared, and they're not around, having the sandball ready either to give to them or fill a divot in, or if you're the first one on the green, helping fix ball marks. If you're on the green, someone else is chipping, you see their cart's 50 yards back, and they still got a couple more chips left, moving their cart so it's on the way from the green to the next hole. Just a couple things where it's consideration and helping with the pace.
Yeah, it goes back into awareness and being respectful of your fellow players, keeping it moving, being a team player. You can rake people's footprints. You don't have to be standing there with your hand on your hip waiting for everybody else. You can offer to help people rake the trap. You can fill in their divots with sand. You can help them pick up divot fragments. You can help them look for a golf ball. There's all sorts of ways that shows that you're going to be a good asset at whatever company that you're being wined and dined by. Some more ways to play quickly is fill out your scorecard on the next tee box. There's a tendency to want to do it. You get excited and you want to write it down, or there's a bet going on and you want to figure out what everybody had just right then and there. Problem with that is there's oftentimes a group right behind you. So if you're standing on the green, figuring out what scores everybody had, you're going to hold up the group behind you, and you multiply that by every group out on the golf course, and then you're going to have a super slow pace of play. So if everybody does their part and fills out their scorecard on the next tee box, it's going to be a little bit more smooth out there. Another sort of advanced bit of quick play etiquette is if you're on a drivable par 4, a short par 4, typically under 300 yards, and there's a group behind you, directly behind you, once your group gets on the green to read your putts, if the group behind you is ready to go, you can go ahead and wave them up. As long as everybody's looking, most people are not going to be able to fly a ball 300 yards. They might be able to bounce one and roll it up to your ankles, but by waving the group behind you up, it just speeds up everything. And you'll see that if they do it on the PGA Tour, there's a good reason they're doing it. So that's something that amateurs can put into practice as well. And like Mark said, carry a sand bottle with you from the cart. It's best, even if it's not cart path only, just to always get into a habit of grabbing a sand bottle. You're going to look like you care about taking care of the golf course. You're going to be able to impress the boss. You're going to take better care than most people would of the golf course, and it's just going to be a good thing for you. How to take care of the golf course. The reason that you sand a divot is to provide a medium through which new sand can grow. So if you're out there taking a big nasty divot out of the ground, you're removing whatever medium used to be there. So when you put sand back in there, most of the time you're playing a golf course with Bermuda grass, that grass is going to grow in from the sides and it's going to grow in from underneath. You're going to have stolons and rhizomes come up from underneath, but it needs something to grow through in order to be smooth. So sand just happens to be a very nice thing through which grass can grow nicely. In cool season grasses, in the heat of growing season, you're going to want to try to get as much of that divot back into the hole as possible. So if you're up playing north of the Mason-Dixon line and you take a big nasty beaver pelt out of the ground, you're going to want to do your best to put that back in the ground. If not, sand it. In most places down in the South, you're going to want to put sand and not try to replace the divot because, quite frankly, the divot's probably exploded into a million pieces. At Sea Pines, do you guys just tell everybody to sand it in, or if there is a big divot chunk, do you try to get them to put it back, Mark?
Yeah, so we're in the transitional zone with Bermuda grass base layer. So we don't replace divots at all because they don't grow back. But we definitely promote filling in divots with sand. And then we don't oversee it, so we don't have to worry about anything like that. But it's definitely the idea of trying to fill in your divot and another if you can.
Another way to take care of the golf course, fix your ball marks. There's all sorts of great videos online. Pretty much the principle of fixing a ball mark is you're going to want to get something and push from the highest indented edge, push from the back of that highest edge towards the middle, and then go around in a clock towards the middle, softly pushing it in. You don't want to dig up. That's going to pull roots out of the ground, and it's going to take longer for the ball mark to be repaired. But check out a video on YouTube, and you can actually get into sort of the art of divot repair, and it's going to be actually super fun and beautiful. You're going to be able to replace the ball mark in a way that it looks like you never even hit the green. Another advanced piece of golf course maintenance is to not shuffle your feet on the green. It's important to be aware of what kind of cleats you've got. Anymore, the cleats on your average pair of shoes that you're going to get at Dick's Sporting Goods or Golf Galaxy are going to be pretty green friendly. There have been a few like Addy Zero shoes that were very, they were plastic soft spikes, but they're super intrusive. And especially if you don't know how to walk properly on the green, you're going to really do quite a bit of damage. That's a golf course's biggest, most fragile asset is their greens. So do not shuffle your feet when you're on the green. Be aware, you're going to leave a little bit of an indentation, but you should never see any huge spike marks or anything. If not, you're either wearing the wrong shoes or you're walking wrong. Be mindful where you're driving the golf cart within 30 yards of the green. Mark, what is the purpose ultimately of courses across the world and across America telling people to stay 30 yards from the green when they're driving their cart?
Well, it's just a strong agronomy practice. You know, obviously, the closer you get to the hole, majority of your foot traffic and any sort of traffic is going to be the closer you get to the cup. I think the USJ posted something about that with basically, I think they laid out like, you know, one day's worth of footprints on the green. And it basically just looked like a pretty big blob around the cup within a 10-foot circle, and then just a ton of footprints around going there back. So it's just to, you know, try to make sure that it's best conditioned grasses and courses for people to play. So by adding that extra weight of carts around the course, you're just trying to make sure that the closer you get to the hole where everyone hits the majority of their shots is fair conditions for everyone.
Is part of it too that the tires are going to press the grass down and the lies are going to be tighter and tougher to pitch and chip off of?
Yeah, it'll definitely create that as well, which could be beneficial, could be detrimental. especially, you know, if the course conditions are wet and you're having to chip out of, you know, fire marks or footprints or anything like that, where it's just an odd depression that, you know, wasn't the same before the person that was there before. It's just not really a fair setup, really.
Groovy. And raking bunkers is another great way that you can impress your boss. The key to raking a bunker really nicely is to find the right angle. If you're too vertical on it, you're gonna dig up too much sand. If you're too low with it, you're gonna skim not enough sand. So you want to find the right angle where you can kind of use the implement properly with very little effort, and you're going to be able to replace the footprints in the bunkers as if you were never there. It takes a little bit of practice, but if you can rake a bunker well, you're going to be a all-star. And another principle of properly raking bunkers is to push away from the lips. Always want to push down on the real steep lips. Just to, you know, think of yourself in the situation if you hit a rocket into the lip of a bunker and there's a ton of sand in there. The worst possible lie you can have in golf is being plugged in the lip of a bunker. So if you're always pushing away from the edge of the bunker, you're going to prevent that happening. And if everybody adopts that as a practice, bunkers are going to be much more playable. Okay, another expert level way to take, oh, this is expert level. Watch out, everybody. Expert level how to take care of the golf course. I was actually in trouble for this one time. I played at a super fancy joint one time, and I took the flag stick out, and without thinking, I just let it fall down onto the green. Mark, are you a flag stick slammer, or have you learned the hard way by someone telling you not to do that, to lay your flag stick gently on the ground?
I haven't learned from the hard school of knocks on that one, like you. It must have been a pretty awkward moment.
Very.
But yeah, I'm definitely a placer for sure. And depending on what's going on, a placer off the green if the collar's near.
In general, it's just a good idea to gently lay down the flag stick. Now, some people get a little cocky and they yank it out and then they kind of toss it. I never did that, but even as simple as pulling it out nicely and then letting it fall over timber is not a good practice, especially at a super fancy golf course. So if you're asked to take the flag stick out, gently put it on the ground, cradling the flag with your hand. Another expert level golf maintenance thing that's really going to impress your boss, and it might be just that little extra thing where it's like, oh, this guy pays attention to the details, and he's, you know, promotion worthy, is to pick up broken tees on the tee boxes. I've had a chance to work at some high level clubs, and that was a consistent bugaboo or pet peeve of some of the high level members was, man, you got to get those tee fragments out of there. And if you go up and pick up a handful of broken tees and put them in your golf cart to throw out at the next available trash can, you're going to be like super all-star, even if your golf game is terrible. Same thing goes for picking up trash. I've heard a podcast about ultimately making decisions on Fortune 500 positions based on whether or not the person picked up trash. They had these, they kind of like framed the applicants, but they'd leave trash like outside the interview room and see if the person picked up the trash or not. And same thing goes on the golf course. Just assume that you're always being watched. And if you pick up a little Kit Kat wrapper, what's the worst that can happen? You're going to be helping out the universe and yourself. And then on this little slide here, you can see some grass known as a runner or a stoloniferous growth. It looks kind of like crabgrass. Sometimes you'll see them growing into a green or growing into a tee box. If you see on a tee box, most of the grass looks pretty darn similar. And then every once in a while, you'll see something kind of ratty come in like this off the edges, typically where the rough meets the short grass of the tee box. If you see these things growing into the grass of the tee box and you start pulling those runners out, that's going to be expert level golf course maintenance. And your boss is going to be like, damn, This guy's on the ball. He pays attention to details. Etiquette, I think a lot of people think about immediately, what should I wear out on the golf course? One good way to get ahead of the game if you get invited to play somewhere that you're not familiar with is to call the pro shop a little bit beforehand. I think Mark can fill us in there. If you wouldn't laugh at somebody that called in and said, "Hey, I've never played Sea Pines before. Is it okay if I wear shorts, or is it okay if I wear, like," I'm seeing more and more people wear like super casual, like joggers and stuff like that. What's your guys' official answer to people when they say, "What should I wear out there?"
We've kind of taken the basis of what not to wear as opposed to what you can wear. So, yeah, still a non-denim facility. The big discussion 2 years ago was cargo shorts.
Ooh, what was the decision?
It was a multiple committee meeting debate.
Oh
and
boy.
we cargo shorts are allowed as long as the pocket is intruding, not protruding.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. real fierce discussion.
Intruding
then,
instead of protruding. So it's like PFG shorts are okay, but Abercrombie and Fitch cargos are not okay.
Yeah, not so much throughout, because I know, like, one the pair of shorts was actually brought into the meeting of like a pair of Nikes with a zipper on the side of it as the fifth pocket. I was like, "Are these okay?" And they're like, "Yeah." So intruding pockets.
Interesting. That's next level. When in doubt, try to dress as conservatively as possible. You don't want to look like a super nerd outside of your comfort level, but try to find as conservative of an outfit as possible, because it's a little embarrassing when someone like Mark Teed, a nice guy, is working in the shop and he has to be like the police. He has to come in and say, "Excuse me, sir, I'm so sorry. Can we get you a different pair of shorts? Those are some protruding cargos, and we have strict rules here."
Yep, and it doesn't mean too much if it's a $200 pair of jeans or a $5 TJ Maxx pair of khakis. It just can't be jeans.
Yeah, jeans are pretty universally hated, and until you get to the super high-end golf courses where the folks are paying for ultimate luxury, where you can show up wearing whatever you want. And but most 99% of places, you're going to be better off not wearing those black pair of jeans, because a lot of people are going to be like, "Well, they're black denim jeans, man. Nobody can even tell." Just don't push it, man. Just wear some dorky cargos, and wear some chinos. Don't push it with the cargos. You don't want your boss to look at you like, "Who's this dork?"
Yep, and then just the two things. I think more from the golf side of it. Some pairs of jeans are tough walking upstairs in, let alone trying to swing a club in. So I don't really understand the comfort in that. And I think basically, unless you're if you're in college or younger, probably white belts. Maybe if you're a tour player, not a great play.
Okay, I was once told by a good friend in the business that you want to look 2 under before you even tee off. And there's some psychology behind that. If you look like you're put together and you show up and your boss is like, "Man, this guy's got a nice golf outfit on," they might be like, "Hey, that guy should be trusted. That guy should get a promotion." So try to dress as professionally as possible. And it is okay to wear shorts, even at a fancy golf course. I've heard that question asked before by a bunch of novice golfers, is like, "Do I have to wear pants because it's a very high-end club?" And the answer to that, there's so many little tricky rules there, but the answer to that is people are actually going to look at you kind of funny if you wear pants on a day when you're supposed to wear shorts. I've never heard of a country club or a golf club where the members and their guests are not able to wear shorts. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't heard of that one. Just only in the professional tournaments has been the only time I've heard that restriction.
Like I said, avoid the super spiky shoes. Addy Zero is the last version of the Adidas shoes that came out with those super like spider monkey super spiky spikes. So avoid those because you're going to have to walk in a very specific way. And at the end of the day, super spiky golf shoes are not going to do anything for you. This one I've been the victim of before too. If you go to some fancy clubs, some folks are going to absolutely berate you and behead you if you change your shoes in the parking lot. That seems like very super persnickety, but you're going to see that pretty commonly. So if you're going to a high-end golf course and you've never been there before, be prepared to bring a shoe bag and do the whole locker room shebang, or just wear your shoes in the car because it's not a good first impression if the outside service guy has to come zipping over to your car and yelling at you because you didn't read the rules of the club. Do you guys have a strict no shoes in the parking lot rule?
The only footwear rule we have is you have to wear footwear on the golf course.
You can't play barefoot?
We don't allow the freewheeling over there, which I wouldn't recommend with even though they're sanctioned to be safe chemicals. I wouldn't want to be walking on that. Plus, some of the fertilizer they use are very natural, so I won't be leaving your feet smelling too good.
Gotcha.
Mr. Zur, I appreciate you having me on the show and your time.
Oh, thank you, Mark, for your expertise in the biz.
I would say probably I'll be parting here, but ideas is what to do with the bag drop. Do you snub them? Do you overtip them? And what do you do when you get there and leaving? I think that'd be kind of the things good ideas to touch on with etiquette.
Oh yes. As someone
Thank you
who
for having me on your show, sir.
thanks for being here, Mark. Hope all is well. Say hi to whoever that lady was in the background laughing.
Yeah. That was the lovely Lady Megan.
Oh, Lady Megan, thank you for gracing us with your presence.
You're welcome. Thanks for the entertainment.
Fare thee well.
All right. Good night. Good there.
Good night. That was Mark Teed, golf pro at Sea Pines Country Club, bringing in some super knowledge. Another thing to keep in mind is have an extra pair of shoes with you in case you get invited to have a drink somewhere after the round that doesn't allow you to wear golf shoes into that area. There's a lot of 19th holes, a lot of clubhouses that aren't going to let you wear traditional golf shoes into the clubhouse. So I'd hate for you to miss out on a marketing, networking opportunity because you just have golf shoes and you're going to have to bow out because you were not prepared with the proper footwear. Always bring an extra pair of shoes. Don't show up too early. You don't want to show up late, but you don't want to show up too early. Try to get there at least 30 minutes before. That would be pretty standard etiquette, but don't get there any more than an hour ahead of time. It just, for whatever reason, it's not proper. A lot of places are going to want to have you be accompanied by a member the entire time you're on property, and a lot of times your member is not going to want to get there an hour before. So typically 30 to 45 minutes before your tee time will give you plenty of time, change your shoes, get warmed up, get on a golf cart, and get ready to boogie. Driving range etiquette is, this one is pretty routinely not abided by, and it's a shame because it should be. But as you can see on the right side of the screen there, you've got a red X, and then in the middle you got a check, and then on the left side you got another red X. And what you're looking at is 30 golf balls hit in different ways. On the far left, that's 30 golf balls that were hit randomly. In the middle is 30 golf balls that were hit in a line, one behind the other. And on the right is another way that people often think is the proper way to do it, is to hit, a big chunk. It's all together, but it's still 30 golf balls. The middle is preferable because the grass is going to grow back much faster. You're going to have a lot less issues growing that grass back, basically. And that it takes a little bit of foresight and some planning to hit range balls like this. But if you do that ahead of time, you're going to look like a superstar. So you're looking for the old linear divot pattern. So you're going to hit the ball. You're going to start at the very front edge of the divot right here. And you're going to work your way backwards. Start at the front, work your way backwards. If you're going to the driving range with your host that day, it's okay if you get there before your host gets there, but typically you're going to want to leave with your host. Just look at the driving range before the round as like cramming before a test. You don't want to have this idea in your head that if you just hit a few more balls before you tee off, you're going to have some big revelation. If you don't have the muscle memory well ahead of time, it ain't going to happen. Random tip, Aruskis. Don't read putts like this. I've seen a lot of folks get down on a knee to get it because, your lower back might be messed up or whatever. But if you get down on your knee to read a putt, you're going to leave a humongous imprint in the ground and not a good greenskeeping practice. And you're going to look super dorky. So avoid going down on one knee. If you need to, look at how Freddie Couples reads putts. He's got a bad back and he's been doing it for years. So no need to ever go down on your knee unless you're proposing to your special lady. If you're invited for a drink after the round, that's a good sign. That means that you haven't messed up too bad. I would say go in and have a drink, but just keep in mind, nobody cares about your score. So don't talk about your round. That's one of the most annoying tendencies after the round is people are going to go in there and say, well, I made bogey on 6 and then I was going to make birdie on 7, but then all of a sudden I 3-putt and then I made another 3-putt after that. Nobody cares. Just go in and have a drink, be cordial, use the marketing networking opportunity. Don't get 2 drinks unless they offer you 2 drinks, but I still would recommend only getting 1 drink. But nobody cares what you shot. What happens if your host takes a caddy? A lot of high-end golf clubs are going to have a caddy, and it's a good idea. You're probably going to have a pretty good idea if you do some research ahead of time whether the course you're playing at has caddies. Again, you can call the pro shop and do a little bit of research. Say, hey, is it common for groups to go out with caddies? And if it's the case, prepare a little bit of cash to have on hand to tip the caddies and the outside service staff, the guys washing your clubs, the guys cleaning the carts, picking the range balls. Never a bad idea to have a little bit of grease money, but it's a good idea to check with your host and make sure it's cool with them first if you tip the caddy. Some folks want to take good care of their guests, which means they don't want them tipping the caddies, but never a bad thing to ask if you can do it. And that would go into good general golf etiquette as well. And that might be the expectation that you tip the caddy. So keep that in mind that you want to have at least $20 on you to tip the caddy just in case. And just another caddy note, if you are a bad golfer or a good golfer, do your best to trust the caddy. They're there for a reason, and they're going to do their best to give you good information. Another random tip, Aruski here, if you are in the bunker, go ahead and knock the sand off of the bottom of your shoes like this picture before you get on the green. There are pictures online you can see of people who do not knock sand off of the bottom of their shoes coming from the bunker going onto the green, and you're going to leave these monster footprints all over the green. It's not going to damage the green, but it's going to make you look like a dork, and it's going to you're going to have to take a while to clean it up. If you don't clean it up, you're going to look like a jerk because you're going to leave a bunch of footprints. So every time you get out of the bunker, give your foot a little nice tap. Do it gently at first, because if you miss and hit your ankle like I've done a million times, it's very ouchy, no good. Some more random tips. Do not drive the golf cart near the green. Don't bring your golf club or bag into the clubhouse. It looks super dorky, and it's just not done. Leave your golf clubs outside of the clubhouse. Help other people look for their golf balls when you're out on the course. Watch your shadow. That's next level awareness is where's your shadow? Is that bothering someone? Is someone going to become aware of your shadow? Especially late in the day, your shadow is going to get really long, and it's hard to keep your shadow from being totally out of the way, but just being aware of where you're at, you won't run into as many landmines. And if you are in a bad position with your shadow, sometimes people will just ask you to stand still. You don't have to run away like a frightened little child. You can just stand there, and they will anticipate the shadow. No big deal. Another thing you can think about is just generally where you want to stand on the golf course, stand in relation to your fellow player. You either want to be face on with them so they know right where you are. You're just standing right in front of them while they're hitting, or directly behind them. You're never going to want to be either on the target side, obviously for safety reasons, or down the line right behind the player. Because they're going to see you in their peripheral vision, and golfers are pretty persnickety about their focus. So do your best to stay either directly in front of the golfer or directly behind the golfer, not too close. If you have any more questions, that was quite a lot. And I enjoyed my first stab at the business golf etiquette clinic here. Big thanks to Mark Teed for his advice coming from Sea Pines Country Club. And thank you so much to Europetastic, Gregory Pex, and Mr. DB the Fifth for joining us on our live stream. Hope everybody's doing well, and we'll see you on Thursday for the Grown Man Radio reunion show. That's at 8 p.m. Central on YouTube as well. And on Friday at 10 a.m. Central, I will be speaking with one of my golf mentors, Stephen Yellen, creator of the Fluid Motion Factor program, at 10 a.m. Central on YouTube. So I highly recommend you, if you've got consistency issues on the golf course, if you're trapped in swing thoughts and you're just a mess out on the golf course, I would really recommend you read Stephen's book, Fluid Motion Factor, and listen to our conversation on Friday morning, and maybe sign up for his Fluid Motion Factor program. And with that, I will see you guys on Thursday.